Hello, thank you firstly for watching this third video that I have made for my YouTube channel to talk about my experiences with vestibular migraine, Pppd, and now the addition of fibromyalgia. I just wanted to make another video really because I haven't spoken for quite a while about how my conditions have been behaving and how they've been affecting my life, and how kind of my life has moved on really since the last time that I made a video. And I've, even though I've not had, thousands and thousands of views or anything like that, which by any means wasn't sort of, the point of making the video, it was really to reach out to anybody that was potentially experiencing the same things as I have been. And it's brought me kind of comfort to know that there are others out there that are experiencing similar symptoms, whilst also it's really upsetting because I wouldn't wish them on anybody, so but if any of the few new subscribers that I have are watching this, thank you for subscribing, and also for commenting and telling me about your experiences and your journeys and asking questions. The only way we can get through this is by doing it together, and it really does help when you have other people to hold your hands, even if you're not in the same place, the same country, at the same part of your journey. It all really helps. Today's video is really going to be about what I call fears and flares, as well as fibromyalgia. I would say the reason I want to talk about fears, and I'll keep it as short as possible, but really is about how the symptoms of vestibular migraine, Pppd, and now fibro have created fears in me about doing what people would consider the most normal of day-to-day tasks, and that would be things like, just going out to the shops, or going to the cinema with friends, or going out for a meal, or even just taking the dog for a long walk. Those sort of things can sometimes be really scary, and the reason is, because the symptoms that we have as sufferers of vestibular migraine and Pppd, the issue is that the symptoms don't behave the same every single day, and certain symptoms can really dial up versus others on different days, and you can never really know exactly how you're going to feel from day to day, and you can never predict it. I would say I'm fearful of doing so many things day to day, because you kind of fear waking up the next day because you don't know how your body's going to be feeling. You don't know if you're going to be able to do or enjoy the activities that you've got planned, if you've planned them. And I would say those fears really convert to a massive level of anxiety and negativity, and it's very difficult to control those and try and stay positive. What I will say, though, on a positive note, is that I've tried very hard to conquer those fears and plan things to do that I normally would have been more afraid to do. So, I am going on cinema trips with friends. I am making sure that I'm, going out for a shopping day if I can, even if it means we have to stop and start a few times. And actually, most recently, I was able to get on a plane and go. I live in the UK, so fly from the UK to Germany, when I went over there with a friend that was moving there. And I'm in disbelief that I was even able to do that, and my symptoms were, thank goodness, dialed down on a lower level so I could really manage to do that. And I was terrified, assuming that my balance issues and my dizziness issues and so many of the other symptoms that I have would have been exacerbated by being on that plane. And actually, I was really pleased to. I'm really pleased to say that wasn't the case. When I got back, though, I did then go into a flare, and that brings me on to the next point around flares. The nature of the conditions is that they can flare up, in my case, with no obvious or known trigger. Things like stress, trigger all sorts of things in our bodies, but for me, I haven't found any kind of food or drink or anything that I intake that exacerbates my symptoms, or any particular activity. However, what I will say is that I do feel a lot more tired more times of the day than I have been. When I came back from Germany, I really enjoyed my time there. I was able to conquer a lot of the feelings and symptoms and sensations that I'd been feeling for so long, and actually go on an evening out with my friend as well, which I really, really enjoyed. And I thought, wow, I can do this. And, we didn't go out dancing or anything like that, but it was still nice to go out to a few bars and have a few drinks with my friend, and feel normal again. And even though I see the world in a very different way to a lot of people because of my derealization symptom and the dizziness and everything that comes with it, those of you that have those symptoms will understand what it feels like. It doesn't even feel like the phone is here in front of me. Everything feels like a dream permanently for me now. And I don't know how long that will last, but it's been a year and a half, nearly 2 years of experiencing this. But anyway, coming back from Germany, I kind of felt on a high, because I felt like I'd really conquered one of my fears, and I'd really achieved something that I genuinely never thought I would ever be able to do again. I never thought I'd be able to get on a plane ever again, or go on any kind of trip or holiday. So I was on a high, and then started making a couple of other plans. So I was thinking, God, maybe like the medication that I'm on is working. Maybe it's finally clicking. But unfortunately, not long after that, maybe about a week or 10 days after I got back, I did go into quite a mega flare for about 8 or 9 days. Luckily, I'd gone to stay with my parents just to spend some time there with them. And I actually went into a flare for the majority of time I was there, but worked through it, pushed through it, and tried to stay as positive as possible, because ultimately I have to date always come out of those flares, to the point where coming out of a flare means that you still have all your symptoms, but you can try and push past them even though they're there. And what I will say to anybody that doesn't have a neurological disorder, or a disorder that physically gives you sensations and discomfort around your body, is you should never ever assume that just because somebody looks okay that they are. I'm sure that I bump into people and meet people all the time that would never believe that I have anything wrong. And that's because you fight constantly to be normal, because the last thing you're going to do is introduce yourself to someone and say, hi, I'm so-and-so. By the way, I've got these disorders, these illnesses, just so you know, so I'm trying really hard to get through this conversation. No, you kind of just go through that in silence, and it helps to try and be normal if your body is allowing you to do that, and your symptoms are allowing you to have that energy to do that. That's become a normal part of day-to-day life now. But flares come and flares go, and the nature of them is that they just come without warning. The one that happened most recently happened when I was walking the dog, and I wasn't feeling so bad that day, and then all of a sudden I was about 5 minutes into the walk, and this sensation overtook my body. My dizziness kicked in, the blurred vision kicked in. I felt like I wasn't even on the planet, and I felt really dreadful. Like it's very hard to describe to anybody that doesn't have all the symptoms, but you really do feel dreadful. Your tinnitus suddenly blares through your ears, and your whole body kind of feels like it's crumbling, and like the sky above you is kind of crushing you, especially with the light sensitivity. I wear these glasses now. I ordered a pair of glasses, and I just asked the opticians to put in a 25% tinted lens, as it just takes the edge off the brightness from the sky that's in front of me now when I work. And speaking of work, I am now in a new job. I wasn't able to continue the job I was doing before because of the expectations of the role and the seniority and the travel. Now I found something that is a bit easier for me to manage. It's at home permanently, so I don't ever have to manage that travel. In fact, I'm going to keep these on. I never have to manage that travel to and from work. My journey to work is from my bedroom, stop in the shower on the way, and come into the office. It's good. It works for me, because it means that the days where I feel really not great, I can still be in my own home, go and sit down, lay down, or just kind of manage it quietly myself without having lots of hustle and bustle and really having to make that extra effort to be normal and try and be perky and kind of positive and happy around everybody, because I'm one of those people that doesn't want to be or show that I'm feeling unwell, because then you feel like you get unwanted attention and then you have to explain yourself and then it's embarrassing and everyone looks at you and then they go, but you look fine, and I can't be dealing with any of that. It brings me on to my kind of next point around flares leading on to fibromyalgia. Now, earlier this year, probably in February, it had been suspected with one of my pain doctors that I could have been a sufferer of fibromyalgia on top of what was going on, and actually probably as a result of what would happen. So it looks like as a result of me having vestibular migraine and Pppd, it's kind of unlocked the fibromyalgia symptoms that in my body. And I knew this, and I kind of recognised the symptoms because my best friend Lucy's got fibromyalgia and had it for many, many years. And I was able to kind of recognise some of those symptoms and say, I'm feeling like this, and you feel like that too. And we were like, oh, could it be elements of it? Anyway, I went through an extensive diagnosis procedure, I say extensive diagnosis, but it was certain diagnostics that they run to kind of eliminate other things. And then all that's kind of left at the end is fibromyalgia, and that was the case for me. Now, with fibromyalgia, there's so many more symptoms that come with that. But for me, I think the main three that I get are brain fog, which I already get with my other symptoms and my other conditions anyway. So, where I suddenly will stop in a sentence and I can't find the words, or I literally cannot articulate myself. Happens to all of us with age, I guess, but it's definitely gotten a lot worse since I was diagnosed with my illnesses. Then there is the fatigue, and the fatigue is a real challenge. My best friend actually has chronic fatigue syndrome, or ME, on top of fibromyalgia, so I don't know how she copes. I really, really don't. But the fatigue element it can be really challenging when it suddenly hits you at points of the day where you just need to lay down and sleep. And now, I've never been someone that has a lot of naps, but now I actually really need, I don't just enjoy a nap, but I need a nap on most days, especially at weekends. Because during the working day, it's obviously a little bit more difficult to find the time to have a nap. But even today, at lunchtime, I had 30 minutes of having lunch and I had 30 minutes of having a nap, and I set a timer and I went into a deep sleep. Now, that was something that never used to happen to me, and the fibromyalgia is definitely something that is kind of causing that tiredness. And then the final symptom that I get is this all over body sensation, which again is indescribable. It feels like lactic acid mixed with helium, mixed with electricity, and complete muscle weakness all over your entire body. And it can cover you all over, it can be in different parts, it can move, it can spread. And I suffer with that every day. And when it's really dialed high, sometimes it is the worst of the symptoms that I have. And I feel like, hey, I can manage the dizziness. This is awful because it's just head to toe. When that flares up, it does actually flare everything else up with it, and that's when the mega flares come in. So that is as a result of fibromyalgia. I'd be really interested to know whether anyone else that's got vestibular migraine and Pppd, or one or the other, experience these all over body symptoms and this discomfort, because it's not even just a discomfort, it is completely debilitating, and it's very difficult to articulate how difficult it is to live with it every day, and knowing that there aren't cures for fibromyalgia, for Pppd, or vestibular migraine. So it's very much about lifestyle. It's about managing stress. It's about adapting your life and changing the way that you live, which I've had to do. I've had to take a job that I thoroughly enjoy, but it pays significantly less than I was earning before, because I am now at home and I've taken a bit of a step backward, or step down from kind of the level of what I was doing before, because I've had to, because my body and my abilities no longer are enabling me to kind of go up the ladder, which was the direction I was aiming for before. I've had to accept that and come to terms with that, and find peace with it. I'm still working on that, But you know, changing your life and accepting the changes is a big part of, I think, trying to calm some of the symptoms. I find things like meditation very difficult because I have noisy neighbours. So trying to find peace and serene is impossible unless I put earplugs in or AirPods. I now have a dog who I absolutely adore, and he brings me so much love and peace and comfort and joy every day, and that's massively helping as well to get me out the door once or twice a day to walk him and really make sure that I'm looking around when I'm walking. And even if I'm feeling awful, like I want to fall on the floor, I just keep convincing myself it's okay, I need to be out, and it's helping me to be out and test kind of my vestibular senses and everything like that, as well as just getting out in the fresh air. There's also so many elements of friends and family being really understanding and continuing to understand, as well as those at your job. My work hired me knowing about my conditions, and it makes a huge difference. My managers and my colleagues are so wonderful and understanding. If I have a moment or I need to just stop, they're completely understanding. And touch wood, you know, it's not actually happened many times, but it can, and they understand that, and that takes away the fear of what I mentioned before. They understand that fear, they understand the flares, and they understand the addition of fibromyalgia, which can make day-to-day work even more challenging. I'm not going to kind of talk or waffle on anymore, but what I would say is that I'm trying very hard now to focus on a future that is positive and find my normal, which is always an unpleasant, uncomfortable normal. But if I want to continue living in this world, I have got no choice. And my friends and my family are very much kind of the foundation of me being able to push myself to do that and to continue pushing to do it. I see that as a positive. I see me going to Germany and getting on a plane as a positive, and I see making plans for the future as a positive, knowing that the plans that you're making might be a slight challenge, but also knowing that you do also make other plans that are a little bit more within your body's natural kind of abilities, and knowing that if you're not feeling great, you might still be able to go somewhere or see someone or do something, and that takes takes away, it eases that feeling of fear, which is really important when you live with these conditions. But anyway, that's the latest update from me. I probably won't make another one of these for a few months again, because this journey is everlasting, it's evolving, it's changing. It's every day is different, and you know, tomorrow I could be in a position where I couldn't even imagine making this. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to do that today on a little screen break from work. But again, thank you to people that have subscribed, that have watched, that have shared. Please continue to do so and reach out to me. I've made a couple of you know, new friends that live in different countries now, where we really are helping each other get through this. So yeah, please please watch, share, subscribe, and reach out. Take care. Thank you.